No, because what's really sad is the fact that these two adults actually had good childhoods and they refuse to reciprocate that for their own children. You're telling me you grew up in a home with parents who loved you, your own bedroom, your own toys, you got to go to sports, you got to go to your private music lessons, you got to go on annual family vacations, you got to spend time with extended family. You got to do all of the things that make a childhood, and your kids can't even go on a school field trip. Yeah, that makes so much sense. No, it doesn't. Because if my childhood was here, my daughter should be here, not here. The bar is in hell. We are called as parents to do better for our children than was done for us. So your sister has to get online and defend your deceased father because you're trying to drag his name through the mud. He's not even here to defend himself. That's low. And didn't you choose to go live with him when your parents split? So why would you choose that if he was as bad as you said? It's like all they ever do is lie. They pick these topics that they know are going to get you guys going because we all have strong feelings about it, about childhood upbringings and autism and everything else. And there's always going to be people trying to defend it. And I'm sick of it, honestly. I don't know how any of you guys can sit here and try to defend these people unless you're doing the exact same thing.
Buckle up, because Stephanie Jenkins, aka Resilient Jenkins, just dropped a Facebook post that's sparking all kinds of chatter, and it's not the inspirational glow-up she might think it is. This isn't just a casual vent from a mom juggling a hectic life. It's a raw, unfiltered glimpse into a whirlwind of contradictions and chaos that she's trying to frame as a cry for sympathy. Let's dive into the mess she's laid bare for the world to see. Because trust me, this post is a goldmine of revelations about her parenting, her choices, and the environment her kids are navigating. Stephanie's been vocal about her parenting style, but her latest post flips the script in ways that raise eyebrows. She's now claiming to embrace gentle parenting, painting herself as this nurturing, patient mom who's somehow mastered the art of calm guidance. Yet, not long ago, she openly admitted to using physical discipline and shunned the idea of being a soft-touch parent. The whiplash is real. How does someone go from hands-on to hands-off without a hint of self-awareness? It's like she's hoping we'll forget her earlier confessions. But the internet never forgets Stephanie. Her contradictions don't stop there. She casually mentioned her partner Drew had a part-time gig before, but now she's saying he's landed a new job working 30 hours a week. Which is it? The math isn't mathing, and the inconsistencies are piling up faster than laundry in her crowded motel room. Speaking of that motel room, let's talk about the reality her kids are living in. 7 people crammed into a single space with no walls, no privacy, and no room to breathe. It's less a home and more a pressure cooker. Stephanie's post laments that she can't even tend to personal needs without her kids needing her. But is that really their fault? Are her children being given the space to grow independently? Or is she hovering over them, as she's hinted at before, playing the helicopter parent while claiming to give them freedom? You can't have it both ways. Her kids aren't the problem. They're reacting to an environment where stability is a distant dream.
The Resilient Jenkins posted today, so let's talk about it. So today, Stephanie made a video of her cleaning around the motel, and she was talking about how hard it is to maintain the room because it gets so messy and nobody helps her clean up. First of all, y'all are in one room, correct? So how is it hard to keep one room clean versus like an entire house? And then she said that she tells like everybody else to help her clean, but the kids especially like do not care and don't listen to her. Let's keep in mind that just yesterday, Drew had a whole crash out on her children and she did absolutely nothing about it. And of course, she addresses everything else but that. I'm pretty sure a few months ago, we also heard a clip of even Stephanie talking pretty crazy to the kids, and she forgot to edit it out, and she made a whole video explaining that, but not about Drew. I just think it's kind of crazy because we see videos of Drew like cleaning and apparently helping cook, but it must just be for content because clearly he don't want to help her do nothing. Y'all gotta let me know what you think down in the comments.
Growing up in survival mode doesn't breed calm, well-adjusted preteens. It breeds frustration, outbursts, and attitude, all of which Stephanie blames on her kids rather than her own choices. The post kicks off with Stephanie admitting her content game is suffering, and she's quick to pin it on her preteen kids' attitudes, as if they're the sole reason her mental health is taking a hit. But let's be clear, those kids are navigating a world she's built for them. A cramped motel room isn't just a quirky backdrop for her social media, it's a daily reality for 7 people, where personal space is a luxury and routine is non-existent. Kids in that kind of chaos don't act out because they're difficult. They're overwhelmed, just trying to cope. Stephanie's attempt to spin this as a relatable mom struggle falls flat when you realize she's not addressing the root of the issue. Her decisions have created a home where tension is inevitable. Her post isn't just a vent, it's a spotlight on a cycle of poor choices she's trying to dress up as resilience.
Do you see how happy Drew Jenkins is right there in his face? Yeah, I don't see it either. They're cooking all hunky-dory now. This is Drew Jenkins and Stephanie Jenkins cooking together, all in love. She seems happy. She seems thrilled. But would you be that happy knowing that your man literally slammed that car door in your face and made you look very silly on live? I don't get it. Does she think we have amnesia? Because, this is the same Drew that couldn't be bothered to watch his own kids, right? Let alone feel like he's all in love with her. I absolutely can't with this. They're cooking, they're in love, but we know that he may have a side piece. He doesn't look like he even wants to be there half of the time. You can't fool a Stephanie Jenkins. This is completely manufactured. What do you think? Go ahead and comment and let me know, but follow me, please.
This isn't the first time Stephanie's tried to turn her struggles into a motivational narrative, but this post feels different. It's less about inspiration and more about deflection. By centering herself as the overwhelmed, misunderstood mom, she sidesteps the real story. Her kids are caught in the crossfire of her chaotic life. The evidence is right there in her own words, and it's hard to ignore. So, stick around as we unpack this drama piece by piece, because there's a lot more to this story than Stephanie's Facebook rant lets on. Make sure to watch till the end. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next chapter of this saga.
It's hard. I'm not good at talking.
What the hell are these people doing?
And it's hard for either of us to talk about because I'm an empath, and this stuff is just not easy for me to discuss either. So, talking about traumatic past or anything like that is.
What?
I think we briefly mentioned before that.
So I do STEM. I didn't know. I guess I didn't know. I guess it was stimming until Steph was like, "Do you stim?" And I was like, "What? I mean, what is?"
Yo, I have not checked in on the Resilient Jenkins for a long time, and things have gone out of hand, okay? So that video, I don't even know what's going on there. But what I will say is basically Drew, father of the Resilient Jenkins, has come forward, and he's basically saying that he has autism now, okay? That's what we were saying in the video. He's saying that he's stimming and he has stims, that Stephanie apparently told him he had autism, and now he thinks he has autism, and now they think their child has autism, even though none of this has been diagnosed by any proper doctor, okay? So, Drew, at this point, he's saying he has autism, and he's also saying that he has epilepsy. So, he's saying all that, right? Then Drew gets online again and starts talking about how he had a really bad childhood, and that, his childhood was super hard, and he wasn't, provided for, and this, that, and the third, okay?
The reality unfolding in Stephanie Jenkins' world is a stark contrast to the narrative she's trying to sell. Her kids aren't just acting out for the sake of it. They're crying out for stability in a home that feels more like a pressure cooker than a safe haven. 7 people squeezed into a single motel room leaves no space for emotions to settle or for anyone to find a moment of peace. Stephanie's quick to point out how this chaos is wearing her down mentally, and sure, parenting is tough, but the toll she's feeling isn't just the weight of motherhood. It's the ripple effect of choices she's made, choices that have left her family in a constant state of flux. Blaming her kids' attitudes for her struggles feels like a convenient way to dodge the mirror she should be holding up to herself. Then, there's her sudden pivot to calling herself a gentle parent, which is a head-scratcher for anyone who's followed her journey. In her latest post, she claims she's embraced a softer, more empathetic approach, even suggesting her kids are cleverly using it to their advantage. But let's rewind. This is the same Stephanie who once boasted about not being a gentle parent, openly joking about physical discipline if her kids stepped out of line. There was that troubling incident with her son Deshaun's black eye, serious enough to prompt a visit from DHS and a call to his biological mother. And who could forget the viral clip where she forgot to mute her audio, letting the world hear her berate her daughter over a harmless clicking sound? That's not the soundtrack of gentle parenting, which thrives on patience, clear boundaries, and emotional connection. You don't just wake up one day, slap a gentle mom label on yourself, and expect people to buy it, especially when your track record tells a different story. The internet's memory is long, and so is the audience watching her raise her kids like they're props in her content machine. Stephanie's post also dangles the promise of better days, specifically the hope of proper housing. She and Drew, she says, are laser-focused on finding a stable home, claiming it could change everything for their family. It's a line we've heard before, pre-eviction, post-eviction, and throughout their motel saga. Yet, here we are, over a year later, with no progress, no updates, just the same recycled promises. If she truly believes, as she writes, that a stable home would ease her kids' emotional and behavioral struggles, why hasn't she made it happen?
So he says all that, and apparently for Drew's sister, this is Drew's sister's last straw. Because after Drew says all of that, Drew's sister, she gets on live and she's like, listen guys, I stayed out of this for long enough. I need to speak my truth. And now Drew is lying on my dead father, because Drew and his sisters, their father died in 2017. So she's saying, I'm not going to let my father, who is now deceased, who cannot defend himself, his name basically be slandered all over the internet. So she says that Drew is basically lying about how they grew up and that they had a great childhood. They grew up good, and they would go on trips to Disneyland all the time. They would go visit various locations. They would go to Miami. They would go on trips. The kids were always loved. Their father always told them that they were loved, and the father was a very present father for Drew and his sister. Okay? So first she says that. She says Drew's lying about how he was brought up. And if y'all remember, Stephanie also was saying that her mom essayed her, and people are saying that that is false because Stephanie's mom got on here and was like, what? I literally never did that. I have a great relationship with all of Stephanie's other siblings. So people are basically, it's starting to look like the Jenkins are basically trying to paint the story about how they both had really rough childhoods in order to justify the fact that both of them are literally bums that don't do anything.
Acknowledging the problem is one thing, but action is another, and her kids are paying the price for the gap between the two. They don't have a quiet corner to sleep in, let alone a space to process the chaos around them. Real gentle parenting starts with giving kids a foundation where they feel secure, not just tossing out buzzwords for sympathy points. And then there's the confusion around Drew's job situation. Stephanie's latest post paints his new 30-hour-a-week job as a fresh development, alongside some gig work he's still doing. But didn't she just say days ago that he was already balancing 2 jobs, part-time work and gigs, while still pitching in with the kids and household duties? The story keeps shifting, and it's not just a minor mix-up. It's a pattern of inconsistencies that makes you question what's really going on. When someone's narrative changes this often, it's hard to see it as anything but a lack of accountability. Stephanie's kids deserve more than vague promises and contradictory updates. They need a home and parents who follow through. This whole saga is like trying to solve a puzzle with half the pieces missing, and frankly, it's exhausting to watch.
Now, that's not even it. Drew's sister, she also gets on live and she says that Drew is lying about having autism and that he never had that. And she's like, growing up, that does not run in their family and he doesn't have it. Okay, that's what his sister's saying, not me. Then she also says that Drew does not have epilepsy, that epilepsy does run in their family, but it runs in their family on the woman's side, and that Drew is likely just saying that to say it because he doesn't want to get a job. Now, you may be wondering, why does Drew not want to get a job? Drew has been heard saying that he said this on live. He said he doesn't want to get a job because customers can be rude. And he doesn't want to deal with that. So that's why he doesn't want to get a job. But now it is rumored that Drew is actually getting a job and that he's basically he just put in an application to work at Safeway and he's waiting to hear back, because if he does not pay his child support soon, man is cooked. And by cooked, I mean possible jail time. So it looks like he needs to start working a job. And Stephanie Jenkins on her live also said that he was going to start working a job.
When Drew faced a courtroom, he claimed to be employed but couldn't produce a single shred of evidence. No pay stubs, no offer letter, not even a contact to vouch for him. It's as if he thought empty words would carry the day. But when kids and legal matters are at stake, promises without proof are as good as air. Stephanie doesn't help matters by glossing over these contradictions in her rants, slipping in new details as if no one's keeping track. Spoiler alert. People are watching, and her audience isn't as forgetful as she hopes. What stings most isn't just the inconsistencies, it's what they reveal about priorities. Instead of focusing on creating a stable life for their kids, Stephanie and Drew seem more invested in curating a public image that deflects scrutiny. Their children, meanwhile, are left to navigate the fallout. A cramped motel room, no sense of routine, and an emotional roller coaster fueled by the adults who should be their anchors. These aren't minor oversights. They're deliberate choices to prioritize appearances over the well-being of their family. The ease with which they reshape their story isn't just frustrating. It's alarming. Each post Stephanie shares becomes another piece of evidence, not of her resilience, but of a narrative unraveling under the weight of its own contradictions. Honestly, trying to follow their story is like watching a soap opera where the plot twists make less sense every episode. Then there's Stephanie's claim of being a stay-at-home mom, which feels like another layer of her carefully crafted persona. She describes pouring her energy into content creation, her version of self-employment, while admitting she's often so consumed by mom duties that she collapses by day's end. But let's unpack that. There's a world of difference between being a dedicated stay-at-home parent and a content creator who leans on chaos and sympathy to drive clicks. A true stay-at-home mom builds her life around her kids' needs, carving out structure and calm, even in the toughest circumstances. She doesn't just survive the day, she creates a foundation where her children can thrive, with routines that offer security. Stephanie's reality, though, seems more about chasing views than building that kind of stability. Her kids deserve more than being background players in a drama scripted for social media clout.
So Stephanie Jenkins was basically talking about how she has to take her baby Momo, with her at all times, even when she's alone. Like, she has to take the baby because Drew cannot take care of his own child. But she says how she doesn't like leaving Bubba. But why is she always leaving Bubba? Like, for somebody who is autistic, or she's saying, I should say, claiming to be autistic, why does she always leave him alone? Like, why isn't she ever one to say, hey, let me make sure that I take him with me, teach him about what it is to wash, talk to him, introduce him to the world around him, and just really promote his overall development? No. She doesn't do that because she doesn't want to, how do you say it in English? It's batayad. Like, she doesn't want to struggle. She doesn't want to do anything extra. Like, I'm starting to think she wants him to have developmental delays so that she can get money. I don't know. I can't stop thinking about how much Stephanie Jenkins just doesn't really invest into the education of her own children. What do you think? Go ahead and comment and let me know.
Many parents quietly navigate the challenges of raising kids, making tough but thoughtful choices to prioritize their children's needs, even on a tight budget. They plan affordable meals, create enriching activities, and maintain schedules that foster stability, often without a spotlight or a paycheck for their efforts. Stephanie Jenkins, however, has taken a different route. She's chosen to stay with a partner who offers little support, and despite financial and emotional strain, she continued growing her family without a solid plan for the children she already had. Rather than building a foundation for long-term security, she tackles crises as they come, often turning them into content for her social media audience. Her life isn't structured around her kids, it's a stage for her personal brand. When she talks about collapsing from exhaustion, She frames it as a badge of honor, expecting viewers to cheer her on for enduring a situation she's actively chosen not to change. But grinding through chaos isn't something to celebrate, it's a signal that something needs to shift. Stephanie's portrayal of herself as a dedicated mom, worn out from endless mom duties, doesn't quite add up when you look closer. Her content creation thrives on the very disorder she laments, turning her family's struggles into a narrative for clicks rather than a problem to solve. True stay-at-home parents focus on carving out structure and calm for their kids, even in tough times, making sacrifices to ensure their children's emotional and physical needs are met. Stephanie, on the other hand, seems to lean into the dysfunction, using her exhaustion as fuel for sympathy rather than a reason to rethink her approach. It's not about resilience when you keep choosing the same patterns and then act shocked when peace remains out of reach.
He's not cheating on me. That stuff is ridiculous. And whenever he's out doing this gig work stuff, he'll answer the phone the first time I call. He will come home if I'm like, hey, I need you to come home, and he's back within whatever distance he's away from me. So there's none of this, like, there's just, whatever you guys are trolling, you're trolling there, because that's not going on here.
Y'all, I have not been tapped in with the Resilient Jenkins, but there is some interesting stuff going on. So let's talk about it. So it all started when this random account was created on TikTok, okay? And the account goes by the name of Drew's Side Piece, okay? So she posted this, POV Drew's new girl. And it is screenshots of a text chain between her and Drew. Now, this is what the text chain says. She tells Drew, send me a photo of your hand holding 2 fingers up. Drew says, why, LOL? Alleged Drew. She says, because you could be her this whole time for all I know. Drew says, if you want, sure. She said, yes, I want. That's when Drew sends this photo. So the account posts this photo, and it's basically Drew putting up 2 fingers, and we can tell that this is his car and that is his ring. The account says, yes, this is actually Drew that she's messaging, and she won't like dox his number publicly, but she will confirm with anyone who actually has Drew's number that she is actually talking to Drew and she's Drew's side piece. Okay, then this account posts more text screenshots of her talking to Drew on TikTok. And she captions this video, Steph not checking the phone enough.
Honestly, it's like watching someone rearrange deck chairs on a sinking ship and calling it interior design. One of the most glaring issues she mentions is bedtime, or the lack of it. In her own words, bedtime in their cramped motel room is a lost cause because, well, everyone's stuck in the same space. She tosses this out like it's a quirky parenting hurdle, but it's far more serious than that. 7 people in one room means no quiet, no privacy, and no chance for her kids to wind down. This isn't just inconvenient, it's a developmental crisis. Children's growing brains and bodies need sleep to regulate emotions, process learning, and maintain mental health. Without it, they're left overstimulated, emotionally frayed, and mentally drained, unable to find the rest their bodies crave. The constant noise, late-night screens, blaring music, and unpredictable schedule in that motel room aren't just annoyances. They're robbing her kids of the calm, dark, quiet environment, essential for healthy sleep. A bedtime routine isn't a luxury, it's a necessity, like food or water. Without a space to retreat, a ritual to signal rest, or even a door to close, her kids' nervous systems are in overdrive, wired for survival rather than rest. Stephanie paints their sleeplessness as defiance, but it's not. It's a natural response to an environment that offers no reprieve.
The woman, Drew's side piece, says, what about Twitch? Does Stephanie see the comments? Drew says, no, not really, but it's Twitch. Anyone can join in the chat, and there's game talk on there. Drew's side piece says, I know that I wouldn't say anything weird in the chat, but if she sees the same person in the chat every day, it might be weird. And mind you, this conversation is about Drew and Drew's side piece trying to find out a way that they can communicate because Stephanie checks Drew's phone. So Drew's side piece then goes, does Stephanie go through your phone or just try to peek out what you're doing? Drew says both. Drew's side piece says, that's crazy. Drew says, yes, I see. Yeah, gotta be careful messaging though. 15 minutes sooner and she had my phone. Then Drew's side piece says, you got an iPhone or an Android. Can't you just lock certain apps? Drew says she has the passwords. Drew's side piece says, I didn't even think you would respond, to be honest. Drew says, I wasn't going to. She says, what made you? And you made me wait all day. Drew says, I did? Because I was at the house. It'd be hard. She know I don't text like that. I don't know how I would even hide your number. Drew's side piece said, damn, maybe you should get some diarrhea and have to take extra bathroom trips. That's when you save the number under Pizza Hut or spam likely. Drew says, we don't buy Pizza Hut. He then says, you can't blow me up though, she'll see it. She says, I won't, you gotta message me first. Drew says, nervous with this emoji. And she said, we can wait, it's fine. Okay, the next conversation that Drew's side piece posts is this. And what made you decide to go back to work? I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, especially if you hate it. Drew says, I was just annoyed by everything to get out of this motel. Only for a few days a week. I still want my freedom.
The environment Stephanie Jenkins has created for her children isn't just chaotic. It's a constant signal to their young minds that safety and calm are out of reach. This isn't a minor inconvenience. It's a relentless kind of stress that seeps into every corner of their lives. Their emotions are frayed, their behaviors reflect the strain, and their ability to connect with the world around them is shaped by a home that offers no respite. It's heartbreaking, not humorous, when Stephanie brushes this off as a quirky parenting challenge. The adults tasked with providing stability are instead fueling the very turmoil they claim to endure. Other mom content creators don't have some secret formula. They have intention. They build routines, prioritize their kids' needs, and create structure, even in tough circumstances, to ensure their children have a foundation to thrive. Stephanie's frustration spills out when she questions how other mom creators churn out content while managing their kids, as if they're pulling off some impossible feat. But it's not magic, it's planning. These moms carve out time strategically, filming during early mornings before their kids wake, during nap times, or when school's in session. Some lean on supportive partners who share parenting duties, while others tap into help from grandparents or trusted sitters. They set clear boundaries around screen time, bedtimes, and family moments to keep their households running smoothly.
She says, what type of work is it? He says, grocery retail. I have 12 years of experience in it. I get off at 4 a.m., so no problem. I worked nights for 10 years, LOL. She said, you're better than me. I couldn't do it. When do you start? He said, I'm getting my journeyman wage back. I don't know when he calls me. I'll probably check today. I'm getting on soon, smoking right now. She said, okay, I'm tidying up a bit, then I'll watch. Drew says, I don't want to, but it is what it is. She says, I have mixed feelings about it. See, that's what I was going to say. I don't think you actually want to, so it's not a good thing. Drew says, at least I know what I'm doing already, and all my old coworkers are there still. Old and gray AF from slave working their whole life. So Drew and Stephanie then proceed to basically go on live, and they're like, Stephanie's like, Drew's not cheating. And Drew's kind of just sitting there like. But I mean, I don't know. Stephanie's saying that this account is a troll account, but if you guys saw in the video that I showed, the account swiped out and basically showed that there actually were messages between her and Drew, and it is like Drew's actual verified account. So I don't know, y'all. I don't know. This could be a troll. It could be real. I don't know.
Their kids often have dedicated spaces, bedrooms, play areas, where they can feel secure and independent. That's not the case for Stephanie's family, where a single motel room blurs the lines between rest, play, and chaos, leaving no room for anyone to breathe. And then there's her tired refrain. Big things are coming. Stephanie loves to dangle promises of change, like a new house or a fresh start. But these claims have been echoing for years with nothing to show for it. It's not just optimism, it's a deflection that's wearing thin. When she says she and Drew are working toward a better future, it feels more like a script than a plan, especially when there's no evidence of progress. No job updates, no concrete steps, just vague assurances that sound more like fairy tales than reality. If I had to pick between believing in her promises or the Easter Bunny, I'd put my money on the bunny. It's got a better track record. Her kids deserve more than empty words and a life where survival mode is the default. They need action, stability, and parents who prioritize their well-being over social media clout. This pattern of overpromising and underdelivering reveals more than Stephanie might think. Her rants aren't just venting. They expose a lack of foresight and a refusal to build the structure her family desperately needs. Other creators succeed because they manage their time, use resources wisely, and create support systems that balance content creation with parenting. Stephanie's approach, by contrast, thrives on the chaos she refuses to address, turning her kids' struggles into content rather than solving the root issues. It's not about making it make sense, as she puts it. It's about taking responsibility for the environment she's chosen and the impact it's having on her children.
I'm alive. What's up?
I just didn't know you were coming out here.
Okay, well, I thought we... Okay. Just talked about it, but okay. I'm glad you're not missing this one. Bro, right? They act like they don't have just as much attitude. They totally do. Sometimes more, I swear. I'm trying to be peace, man. I wasn't even done talking. But okay, man.
Can you pause that, these kids?
Okay, 1 second. Hold on.
Other mom content creators don't just coast through their days. They intentionally carve out opportunities for their kids to grow and thrive. They enroll their children in summer camps, sign them up for sports, arrange library trips, set up play dates, or even take them on simple nature walks. These activities aren't just fun. They give kids a chance to socialize, learn, and take a break from the intensity of home life, while also freeing up time for moms to focus on work. This isn't about having some magical advantage. It's about putting in the effort to balance priorities and create a rhythm that works for the whole family. Now, compare that to the reality Stephanie's kids face. Trapped in a single motel room, they have no personal space, no outlets for their energy beyond a screen, and no predictable routine to anchor them. The constant noise, tight quarters, and erratic environment don't just make life hard. They disrupt her kids' emotional stability. They cling to her, not out of neediness, but because they're overwhelmed, anxious, and surrounded by tension with nowhere to escape. When Stephanie wonders how other moms manage to create content, the answer is straightforward. They plan ahead, adapt, and commit to the work of parenting with intention. She doesn't need shortcuts. She needs structure. Instead of marveling at others' success, she could ask herself why she hasn't taken similar steps. Plenty of parents with fewer resources have found ways to prioritize their kids' needs. It's not impossible. It's just a matter of preparation and accountability, which Stephanie consistently sidesteps. Her latest post ends with yet another promise. She and Drew are doing everything to secure housing as soon as possible. But this vow feels like a broken record, replayed across countless Facebook Lives, TikTok comments, and emotional posts. It's always the same refrain. We're working on it, but where's the proof of progress? These repeated assurances seem designed more to keep her audience hooked than to reflect any real change. Words alone don't build a home, and her kids don't need another feel-good update. They need walls, doors, and a safe space where they can sleep soundly, learn freely, and just be kids without the weight of motel room chaos. If Stephanie redirected even a fraction of the energy she pours into social media rants into practical steps, researching low-income housing, applying for rental assistance, or seeking real support from her followers, her family could be in a better place by now. Instead, she's caught in a cycle of chasing sympathy while her kids remain stuck in survival mode. It's not just the empty promises that sting, it's the pattern of choosing image over action, and that's a tough pill to swallow.
Did you see how Drew in the last sub live that Stephanie Jenkins was trying to conduct, how he was yelling at her and like slammed the door in her face? All because of what? All because Stephanie Jenkins decided to take a little mommy break outside and try to go live without telling Drew of her every whereabout and where she was. Yeah, Drew got really upset that she was outside and he had to take care of the kids, because even though he told the judge that that's what he does, that, you know, he takes care of his girlfriend's kids, he refuses to do said thing when it actually, like, the action is, like, not being followed through. He just wants to say that he takes care of the kids, but he really doesn't. Are they coming to an end? Like, their fighting is getting a little bit scary in the sense of like she was on live. I just can't believe that Drew knew that Stephanie was on live and he slammed that car door and said like he couldn't take care of the kids anymore and that he needed to tap out. Parenting, you don't get to tap out, but you know, Mr. Drew Jenkins is a little spoiled.
Stephanie Jenkins pours her energy into crafting social media posts, chasing trends, and clapping back at critics. But when it comes to making tangible changes for her children's future, the effort seems to vanish. Her focus is locked on performance, polishing her online image, while actual progress for her family takes a back seat. The harsh reality is that she prioritizes content over change, chasing likes instead of a better life for her kids, and seeking sympathy rather than stepping up as a parent. Her audience might move on from her posts, but her children can't escape the consequences. They're still sleeping in a motel room, waiting for promises to become reality. Parenting is never a walk in the park, but this level of struggle isn't just the natural weight of raising kids. It's the direct result of choices Stephanie made, stacking up over time without regard for their long-term impact. This wasn't an unavoidable crisis or a stroke of bad luck. It's the slow buildup of decisions that have left her kids in a state of constant instability. Stephanie chose to expand her family despite clear signs she wasn't equipped emotionally, financially, or physically to support the children she already had. She stayed committed to a relationship with Drew, ignoring his track record of unverified job claims and empty promises, even when his lack of responsibility visibly affected her kids. Court records exposed his inability to provide proof of employment, yet she's doubled down on a partnership that offers little stability. Instead of channeling her creativity into building a secure life, researching housing options, applying for aid, or planning for her family's needs, she pours it into storytelling for her audience. The hours spent editing videos and crafting posts could have been used to take real steps forward, but she consistently chooses the spotlight over solutions. Now, instead of owning these choices, Stephanie points fingers at her kids, labeling them as tired, needy, or chaotic, as if they're the source of the dysfunction. But her children didn't choose to live in a cramped motel room, to be featured in live streams, or to exist as props in her content cycle. They're simply reacting to the environment she's built, one with no space, no routine, and no calm. Rather than facing this truth and doing the hard work of self-reflection, she turns to social media, seeking validation from strangers instead of accountability within herself. Her rants aren't cries for help. They're distractions, attempts to reshape the narrative to cast herself as the struggling hero. In reality, she's the one writing this story of chaos, avoiding the responsibility to change it. Her mental struggles may be real, but they stem not just from motherhood, but from years of sidestepping accountability and choosing chaos over change. The hope is that something shifts, for her kids' sake. Maybe Drew's job claims will finally hold up, and the income will go toward a stable home, not fleeting luxuries. Above all, her children deserve a space where they can feel safe, grow, and just be kids, free from the weight of their parents' choices.
Did you guys see what happened on the Resilient Jenkins live today? because Drew absolutely crashed out on Stephanie's kids and we have to discuss it. So Stephanie was live earlier and she was sitting in the car because she wanted a couple minutes of peace and quiet and also so that she could go live. Drew came up to the car like 2 or 3 times and he was infuriated with basically her kids. He was like, come get these kids, get off of live. And she's like, hold on, hold on. He was screaming and he was cursing at the children though. And yes, you could hear it. I don't care who you are. You could never disrespect my kids. He can't even watch the kids though. Like, I understand getting frustrated because y'all are all in one room, but they quite literally put themselves there. Y'all have got to let me know what you think about this in the comments. I feel so bad for those kids. Y'all need to let Grandma Reese step in. That's what I think at this point. Let Granny Reese come through and help y'all.
This saga has been a roller coaster, and it's hard to know if Stephanie's latest post is a step toward honesty or just another dodge. What do you think? Will this be the moment she turns things around, or is it more of the same? Thanks so much for watching this deep dive with us. It's been quite the journey. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please give it a like, hit that subscribe button, and turn on notifications to stay in the loop. Don't miss our other videos. Check them out by clicking the ones popping up on your screen. Have an amazing day, and we'll see you in the next one.